Melissa McCarthy is really funny. I've seen her at the
She's very
Groundlings.
funny in it.
Really good.
Where'd you see her?
The Groundlings.
And for those of
She's
you listening,
my
that's
wife,
an improv place here in L.A.
Yeah. My wife plays Beverly Winwood in this show that they do. It's like a pseudo showcase, actor showcase. And Paul Rubin is in it, and Cheryl Hines, a bunch of people.
At
Melissa
the Groundlings.
McCarthy. Yeah.
That's on Melrose?
Well, they do special shows with it. Like it's going to be coming up in October, every Monday in October. The Beverly Winwood Showcase.
Is that the name of the sketch?
Yeah. Would
you say that's one of your top 5 sketches of all time?
I would say that's my top 5 of all time.
So now we got 2 that you're not in.
Yeah.
Remember Jim Belushi, high school chess coach?
No.
I sound like I'm doing the Chris Farley show.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time?
Remember the Beatles?
That was awesome.
So let's talk about Chris Farley for a second.
When was the first time you met Chris?
I remember it so vivid. I was walking toward the elevators up on the 8th floor, where the studio is.
So you met him
and he was coming off of the elevator with one of his brothers and his parents. And he was all, wide-eyed, googly-eyed. How are you doing, Mr. Nealon?
Was it a show night? Like, why the 8th floor?
I don't remember. Maybe because we were rehearsing on Friday and he was coming up to be on the show the following week or something. I don't know. I don't remember what the circumstance was, but I remember him walking toward me from the elevator. And, but I never really, I just knew, I played basketball with him a few times. I didn't hang out with him like Spade. And he was on that other end of the writer's wing with, Sandler and Rock and Spade.
Yeah, if you're listening,
Schneider.
Like the people, what a stupid thing I just said. If you're listening to this, if you picture the letter H, half the offices were on one part of the H, and some of the offices and some corporate offices were on the other side of the H. That was the mellow side, the side you were on behind reception.
That was like the original, my cast side.
Yeah.
And when the cast got bigger, as it did over the years, pretty soon there was only like 20 minutes left to do the sketches after they did the intros of everybody that was on the show, the feature players,
Featuring
Don Pardo.
Pauly Shore.
As an audience member.
Seat 11J.
They should have introduced each audience member, too. Just go through the whole thing.
He was the best.
Well, he still is, isn't he?
Yes, but Don Pardo, not enough is said about how amazing he is. And he's one of those guys where and Janie, the janitor, I spoke a lot about.
Yeah.
And the nurse, Teresa.
Yeah.
And Pardo were these people that, like, you get so caught up in your week that you forget these are fucking human beings that are showing up and they're punching a clock just like you.
And
it's
probably
stressful.
making more than we were.
Probably. Hey, sometimes, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
And I asked Don Pardo once, I said, what's your favorite musical guest ever in the history of this show? Are you kidding me, man? Like, he didn't let me finish. And he goes, BJ. And I'm like, if I say that to you, what do you think?
BJ Thomas?
No.
BJ who?
BJ Thomas.
What did you say, BJ?
He goes, BJ.
I don't know.
No one comes to your mind.
No.
How about you? Billy Joel was what I thought.
Oh.
And I go, Billy Joel, and he goes, are you out of your mind? Bon Jovi! That motherfucker could sing, man. And he yelled motherfucker, like right there by the coffee, where everyone's coming and going, like we're stragglers and friends of the band. He goes, that motherfucker could sing, man. And I was like, are you kidding? And like, Bon Jovi is Don Pardo's favorite vocalist of all time. So Farley comes off the elevator on the 8th floor. You're alone. You're with his parents.
Where I was going. I don't know what I was. Maybe I was going over to the bathroom there or something. Anyway, he came out with his family. But I didn't really hang out with him that much. We played basketball once in a while over at Riverside Park. with me and him and Al Frank and a couple other people. But he was so light on his feet. He was one of those big guys that was light on his feet and agile.
He was the classic moves well for a big man guy.
Yeah, moves well for a big man. And I, he hung out with Spade and those guys. I didn't really hang out with him much. I'd see him, of course,
I never hung out with him, but I still, have an opinion about the guy. Like I always say.
I would always tell him, when he's getting loud with somebody. One time I told him, Farley, he goes, yeah? I said, take it down a notch. Take it down a notch. So anytime after that where, he was loud, I look over and he goes, what, take it down a notch? I said, yeah.
Yeah, he was so childlike. And I always describe him as he was the sun. Like there was a light inside of him. He was bright and just being around him was so infectious and amazing. It was like when you stay out in the sun, you get sun on your shoulders and there's like proof. But with Chris, it was the smile you carried around the rest of the day. Just because he would look at you with that, you would say, take it down a notch. And I guarantee the first time you said it to him, he went, really?
Yeah.
Like super like, am I acting? He
was like a little kid, you know.
Yeah.
He was like a kid in a candy store. He was so excitable. He was excited about everything, you know. And it was like he was on a trip to Disneyland every day.
Yeah.
And I don't think he couldn't control.
You saw him. When I worked with him for the 2 years I was there, he was never under the influence of anything except, I guess, food and coffee.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he said to me, "It's like I have 3 cylinders: drugs, alcohol, and food. And if I push 2 cylinders down to control them, one of them goes through the roof." And
I think the last time I saw him was up in the Brillstein Entertainment Partners, where we all had the same managers. And he was sitting in one of the conference rooms at a big table, and he had a leather jacket on, and he had I think part of his hair was dyed pink. He was sweaty, you know. And I said, "Hey, Chris," and he just didn't seem like the same person, you know, because he had a lot of success, and you know he wanted to follow in Belushi's footsteps, and he did to a T.
Do you have, so you met him with his parents, and did he introduce his parents to you?
I don't remember.
Milwaukee folk.
I don't remember, but I just remember he seemed very excited to be there.
Well, do you remember the first sketch you were in with Farley? Do you remember sketches you were in with Farley specifically?
I remember doing Weekend Update when he was a feature on there, and he was tied to a cable. You know, they had a harness around him. He was supposed to fly out over the audience. And as they picked him up, he swung backwards, and the harness got caught on one of the letters or something, and they couldn't get free. And it was like,
but that's when I was there. Though that wasn't when he was a featured performer.
No, he was a feature on Weekend Update.
Oh, sorry,
he did like a guest spot.
Yeah, and it was the guy that keeps doing quote marks.
Yeah. He
goes, maybe I don't bathe.
Yeah,
maybe I pick my scabs. Yeah. Maybe I'm not well with other people. And he does.
I'm astounded by you are like a fan of Saturday Night Live.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I always say being on Saturday Night Live is like being governor. Even when you're not in office anymore, everywhere you go, people go, "How are you tonight, Governor?" So when I do the Tonight Show, like I'm doing it Thursday, and they're
Johnny?
Yeah. Nice. They're going to say, he's brand new though. Par split. So we're hoping it sticks. And like Nebraska, nothing funny ever comes out of Nebraska. So like they'll introduce me. My next guest was a cast member of Saturday Night Live, and then they'll name what I'm plugging. So, but I was never a cast member on Saturday Night Live. I was a featured performer, but just being...
I was too the first year, by the way. And then the second year, I was a writer and a featured performer the first year, guaranteed like 7 shows. But the second year, they said you could become a cast member or you could keep your writing credit and stay a featured player. So I took the cast member and just kept writing.
But you forfeited a couple grand a week right there.
Yeah, and the writing credit.
By the way, you know, it goes by so fast. There's 40 writing credits.
I know. There are a lot of people.
Wouldn't you live the rest of your life credit free if they would just pay you a little more?
But what about a lot of people were upset?
Can you answer my question?
I wasn't listening to you. I'll be honest with you.
Would you live the rest of your life never having like weeds, uncredited, and everything you do for the rest of your life if they just paid you more?
Yeah,
not even a lot more.
Because people know who I am now.
Yeah, like that's Kevin Nealon and Weeds.
Yeah.
And like don't even put, because your agents, people don't realize our agents and representation go crazy, look, I got them up to 3rd billing single card, which means
I got you and Jay Mohr.
And that's another thing. Single card is a big deal because you don't share your name. That means you don't share, it's not Kevin Nealon, Jay Mohr on the screen at the same time. Yeah. It's Kevin Nealon, and then 2 seconds go by, and then it says Jay Mohr by itself. Shared card is when our names are together. But then like your agents will go into like this fucking fantasy land of giving a shit where they go, we have you, it says, we didn't get you and Kevin Nealon, but we did get you with Kevin. And you're like, what fucking person in America watching Mr. Belvedere has any idea the status I got with my with Kevin Nealon credit?
Do they have like a and also?
No, but that would be good.
And what else?
You'll never believe it.
Also,
introducing is the kiss of death.
Introducing.
They say if you get introducing in a movie, Matt Cohen, our producer, is such a film buff. He could probably rattle off like 5 people that got an introducing credit, and it's over. Because I remember once I asked for it, And my agent said, "Oh, no. You'll never work again."
Yeah. And believe it or not, Jay Mohr.
I've never worked since. Well, in all fairness, I had the conversation with him yesterday, so I have not worked since he said that to me. So on weeds, if they didn't give you a credit, let's say you make $1,000 a week on weeds. If they say, we'll give you $1,200, but we can't give you a credit, you're taking the dough, right? I am too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the big beef for a lot of people, though, like with writing credits is, like on Saturday Night Live, if the show got nominated for, an Emmy for writing, most of the cast wrote a lot of the show.
Right.
They wouldn't get an Emmy.
But I was nominated.
Yeah.
Because I was on the writing staff when it got nominated.
Right. And maybe you never wrote anything on there.
Not much.
Right? Or yeah.
And then I think they took me off the writing staff my second
year. So you were a feature player and a writer too.
Right. And it was 2 checks, and it was pretty good because it's not a lot of money.
And you get Writers Guild insurance.
Yes. And then my second year, I was no longer a writer. They asked me if I would mind not being a writer. And I think it's only because I was so disruptive. I'm being serious.
Well, you were taking medicine at the time.
No, I was, beer.
I thought you were taking some kind of sedative or something.
I had to take Klonopin. Because
what is that? Is that like a Valium?
It's an anti-seizure medication.
Did you have seizures?
No.
Okay, just calm me down a little bit.
More digressions with Kevin Nealon.
I digress.
I had panic attacks so bad. Sarah Silverman said to me, "Oh my God, I walked into her dressing room. And I said, I can't breathe. I'm having a heart attack. And I'm going to pass out like the triumvirate. And she goes, you're having a panic attack. You need to see my doctor. She saved my life. And I'm like, it's Saturday. I'm not going to be able to get into a doctor till Monday. She goes, no, that's what's great about psychopharmacologists and psychiatrists. You can call them at any time. So she gave me Dr. Noel Taylor's phone number in Manhattan. Wow. And I called and I left a message. She called me back during the show.
As you were on stage?
Yeah.
There was no cell phones then.
I took the call. I had a big one, like from the one from Casino.
Yeah.
And I want you to carry this around with you. That way I always know where you are. And I took her. She called me back, and she said, it sounds like you have classic panic disorder. Why don't you come see me? I don't take anybody on Sundays, but come see me. I'll open up. She worked at a hospital.
She didn't say, come see me when the musical act is on?
No,
she wouldn't take
I wish, because I would have. She said, instead, do you have any sedatives at home? I said, yeah, I have Valium, but I'm always afraid to take them because I don't want to become a drug addict. Which, by the way, I was a seer. She goes, well, you might want to go home and take that and just see if you could take it easy for a while until I see you tomorrow afternoon. I ran home from 30 Rock to St. Mark's Place, but not running home to get to the Valium quicker. Somehow having this conversation, identifying that I had a panic disorder, not knowing what it was, made me more crazy, and I freaked out more. So I sprinted. And that's that's the difference between panic and anxiety. Anxiety is your boss is an asshole. So every day when you drive to work, you feel like you got a little diarrhea brewing, and you get a headache, and you clench your jaw. That's stimulus response. Panic is the release of endorphins and adrenaline at life-saving levels for no reason whatsoever. And so that's what happened, and I sprinted home all the way to St. Mark's Place. I took the Valium. I took a bath. I was filthy. It kicked in.
This is right after the show?
No, it was during the show. I just left, and Mike Shoemaker, that sweetest man in the world who now produces Fallon, said, you can't leave. It just doesn't look good if you leave. And I said, I'm not in any sketches, and I'm dying. And he would go, you can't leave. You can't leave. So I ran home, I took the Valium kicked in, and then I became euphoric only because I wasn't dying. So then I got in a cab and I went back, and then I'm like the belle of the ball, just walking around with my hands in my pockets, whistling all right, it's a good show tonight, right guys?
Yeah.
And then I saw her, and Dr. Noel Taylor, diagnosed me as having just a regular panic disorder. Take Klonopin, take 1 milligram in the morning, 1 milligram at night. If you drink, which I was drinking a lot of, she said...
What did you drink?
Just beer. Wine sometimes, but I just chugged the booze, man. She said it'll really make it, you'll just pass out.
Yeah.
I took Klonopin at her office. She had a sample, and I had to go to the pharmacy underneath in the hospital. Whatever hospital's on First Avenue in Manhattan, I forget. And I went home to my apartment on St. Mark's Place, and I slept from 3:30 in the afternoon to 2 o'clock the next day.
Oh, my God.
And I felt amazing because for the first time I woke up, there wasn't that cloud rolling in, waiting for it all for the shit to hit the fan.
Wouldn't that be great if you go to a doctor like that and it's like Trader Joe's? They have different stations like for samples of pills. You know,
yes.